Hello, everybody. My guest today is Lauren Hall. She's the founder of Ivy, a multi-award winning technology company providing enterprise software to the events industry. Since its 2009 launch, she's overseen Ivy's continued growth and global expansion to APAC, Europe, and North America, offering the world's first real-time marketplace with live availability for function space and suppliers. Lauren, are you ready to take us to the top?
I am indeed.
All right. Tell us about the company. What do you do and what's your business model? Are you a pure play SaaS company?
We are, but we're actually a little bit different in the fact that even though we have a fully SaaS model, because we have 3 enterprise applications, which is providing solutions to meeting planners, to venues, which manage their function space, group accommodation, it's their full sales and catering system, as well as inventory and time-based management systems for suppliers. We're actually in the industry of travel and the events industry, there's only a big major player like Sabre. So what Sabre does for travel, they digitize the online experience for booking, for accommodation, flights, and car hire. We're doing that for meetings and events. So basically, we are a global distribution platform known as a GDS. But in order to achieve a GDS, which is the entire enterprise software connection and distribution engine in one, you have to build the technology at the source of the supply chain. So we built operating systems to be able to manage their live availability, rates, and inventory of the supply chain. We then connected them into our marketplace, which then enables all of that supply chain to then have consumers and event organizers book in real time. And that was really a huge problem. It was something that I experienced many times over having teams organizing events, which was really, truly a way to be able to solve a global problem.
So you make money every time someone uses your platform to book an event venue. I'm assuming you're taking a referral cut or something like that?
Yeah, so what we do is we've got an enterprise SaaS license fee, we've got a transaction fee, we've got usage fees, we've got multiple revenue streams that come across our platform. So we're not just SaaS, so we're obviously transactional model as well.
Yeah, if you look at your last 12 months in terms of total revenue, what % of it was just pure software, not usage, not anything else, just pure SaaS?
Probably 85% is pure SaaS at the moment because we're only just SaaS is predominantly now because we're only now moving into our distribution model. So what we do is we power the platforms for like American Express, Flight Centre globally. We're building out the distribution B2B platform play. So our goal is to be able to bring those who already own that customer base, which is enormous markets. As an example, the top 5 travel management companies of the world control over $100 billion worth of meetings and events spend because they already service the travel market for those big, large corporate customers. But there is an enormous opportunity that sits anything between 0 to 200 packs for events, which they don't touch. And that needed to be a self-serve solution. So we built that platform to
Lauren,
enable
just to be
the live
clear,
booking capability.
who is paying you the SaaS fee? The event space?
All the suppliers pay us their SaaS because we are their everyday operating systems.
Wait, so just to be clear again, we don't know who the suppliers are. We don't know your business. So you're talking about the meeting space itself.
Yeah, so like we provide our systems to big hotel chain groups. We are the central risk systems where their everyday operating day-to-day solution as well as their booking engine that sits on the front of their websites. So we actually connect all the pieces of underutilized assets that have never been online before. So as an example, you ultimately at the moment can book accommodation for travel, but you could never book accommodation for groups, which could be 50 to 100 packs when you're organizing an event. So let's go back to
when you say packs, Lauren, you mean people?
People, yeah, okay. Packs. So that, it's as people. So as an example, let's go back all the way to the beginning. The biggest problem with organizing an event that it can take up to 6 weeks to be able to source and access and get people to respond to an inquiry. Okay, you go backwards and forwards negotiating between a venue and a supplier and potentially the corporate that you are either organizing it for or on behalf of. Now, the reason for that exists is because there's been no systems that sit at the supply chain. So there's been no ability for these sales and catering systems that sit at venues or inventory management systems that sit in suppliers that actually connect online, that make available the inventory, time available, and rates for those solutions.
Yeah, Lauren, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but we are short on time. I totally get the product. It makes perfect sense to me. I totally understand why you're doing it. It's a huge problem. I get it. So I want to dive more into, capture more of your story here. So walk me through kind of a timeline. When did you launch the company? What year?
I launched Ivy in 2009. I started building the first platform for meeting and event organizers, much like what you see Cvent in the States. We built that Cvent platform here in Australia. my journey started back in South Africa when I built the first platform to solve that corporate meeting spend problem, to be able to provide availability, rates, and inventory online. When I originally built the platform, I had massive demand. It outstripped the capability of its how it'd been built and engineered. I had to re-engineer that platform to start again because it had been built in ASP.classic, not in a PHP or a .NET. And I obviously have bootstrapped that company for a couple of million.
Okay. Have you bootstrapped this current company?
Oh, no, now we've got capital. We've got significant capital. So we've raised quite a lot.
How much have you raised to date?
Well, we're now close to nearly 26 million.
Okay. And was that all equity or any of that convertible debt or convertible notes?
We did some convertible notes. We've done some in terms of majority equity. But yeah, we're in a massive growth path at the moment. So going back on and looking at your timing. So I built the first platform in South Africa from a timeline. I had funded that for about 3 million of my own cash.
What year was this? I ran out of
funds. That was in 2008. Okay. 2006. It took me 2 years to build that, take it to market, commercialize it. I then ran out of funds. I then was awarded. I went to the South African government. I was awarded 10 million from the government because of the national benefits that we're bringing.
Is that included? Is that included in the 26?
No,
okay.
This is excluding, because within 2 days of me being awarded those funds, I was then given access to Australia. I left South Africa because I witnessed the brutal murder of my father, and I chose to leave the country. So I took my 2 young kids and started again. So I entered Australia with no money, no job, no network. I started again. I recapitalized the company. I started out, brought in a good co-founder. We built up our first phase. We built and commercialized that now. We're now currently in 13 countries. We've got offices in 6 countries.
How many customers are you serving?
Oh, we've got about 25,000 now.
Okay, and these are hotel chains, event locations.
Hotels, restaurants, meeting planners, corporates, not-for-profits, because we've got multiple customers across the globe. We work with it. People can get onto our platform in many different ways. They can either sign up and be part of the marketplace, which is their online RFP tool. They can be part of the SaaS system, which is their full operating systems. They can use our meetings tech to take all the registrations and payments and processing for their events. There's multiple layers within Ivy in terms of where people can actually utilize our technology.
So Lauren, on just the SaaS aspect, what are these companies, and I know you have many different cohorts, but best you can, on average, what are these companies paying per year or per month for the SaaS component of your tech?
Look, it ranges. From a small restaurant, it can take anything from $50 to $100 a month on the SaaS, and then for large hotel chains, it's can be anything from $250 to $500 a month.
Okay.
It depends on the size, because we, as a hotel chain, we also provide all the central res systems. We're integrated into their property management systems.
Would you say that, Lauren, that you lean towards the higher end of that, so maybe $150 or $200 a month on average, or no, you're really long tail SMB?
No, I think we lean to the higher end, definitely, because we're working on global groups, and typically because there's a lot more complexity. If you're looking at the restaurant areas, which is very simple stuff, there may be lots of smaller players, but definitely I think we sit in the enterprise space, particularly across the market. So
Lauren, can I take the $100 kind of per month average times the 25,000 customer number you just gave me? I mean, that obviously would put you at about $2.5 million a month on the software end. Is that accurate?
No, that's probably not. We're sitting probably closer between the 10 to 20 million in revenue a year.
And you said about 60% of that is 80% of that is SaaS?
Yeah, it's majority SaaS, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I want to understand more of how you've signed. This is incredible how you've signed up so many locations. What's your growth? What's the number one growth channel look like?
Look, right now, majority of our time over the last 9 years has actually been spent in the Asia-Pac region. We've obviously recently launched into the US, which we've got, enormous pipeline because we're working with global groups. We also launched into the UK. We have global teams out of South Africa, but we found that, definitely because of the large volume of major groups, which are brands, like in the States as well as in Europe, the volume of properties that we're getting on board are, in the hundreds. We don't just get on one property, we get on large groups.
Sure.
And then we roll those out across the markets. I think there's still a lot of learnings, to be honest, Nathan, about our growth trajectory. It's not like a simple tool where people just sign up and, we have outbound sales teams, we have on the ground, high level executives out of the industry.
What's the team size today, Lauren?
We've now about 65. We probably will be Before the end of our financial year, we'll be closer to 100.
And when's the end of your financial year?
June.
Okay. And where's everyone based? Are they remote or all in Australia?
No, they're all over the world. We've got offices in America, okay, which is California, and we just are now opening Dallas. We just opening Canada in January. We've got offices in the UK, South Africa, India. Yeah, we've got offices in all the regions. Predominantly, it has been Australia for quite some time.
Yep.
And, for the last 9 years. But now we will be opening offices every 3 months around the world.
That's great. And in terms of growth, if you said between 10 and 20 kind of today, let's assume kind of lower end. So if you're at 10 million ARR today, where were you about a year ago?
I suppose some of that I don't actually want to share too much in terms of all the numbers, Nathan, because I think my chase now is 100 million in revenue in the next 4 years. Okay, so rather working forward versus backwards. Part of our growth, we've been growing anything between 100 to 150% year on year.
Okay, so 100% year over year growth. 100% year over year growth would mean you could call it maybe 400 and 420 grand a month about a year ago if you're at 800 or 900 grand a month now. Yeah. By the way, the reason I ask those numbers is because my listeners want to be like you, right? Potentially if they're smaller, and you can learn a lot from history. So I love the ambition. When do you think you'll hit 100 million by?
The goal is 4 years.
Okay. Are you right now
aggressive.
Are you in talks right now with Vista Equity or Cvent to acquire you?
They've come. I'm not interested in selling.
Why aren't you interested in selling at all?
No, I've got a goal to be the first female unicorn in hospitality to reach $1 billion market cap, and I potentially want to list the company.
I love that goal. Where would you list it if you did list?
Look, I think certainly my head office is probably going to end up being in the US. We've got our R&D stuff here in Australia because of the tax benefits we receive. The view is that we will probably grow our US team extensively. We've had a lot of people approach us for acquisition. We know who ultimately would want to buy us. They're already sitting around the table. But the goal for us is grow out our US team enormously because it's a $400 billion market for us. And the reality is as we grow our global footprint is to then look at the pace of our growth. And look, I think many opportunities will come to the table at the same time, but I definitely think we're going to have a heavy dominance in the US and Europe.
Churn's critical in a company like this. What's your revenue churn annually today, and how do you make sure to keep that as low as possible?
Look, one of the things that I think is really important, I think we've got a 96% retention rate, which is only a 4% churn.
That's logo or revenue?
That's pardon me? That's
logo or revenue?
Revenue.
Okay, got it. So 4% revenue churn annually. That's really low.
Yeah, it's very low. And look, we've been one of the biggest things that we really pride ourselves is retaining our customers, and working really, really heavily on making sure that the customers, because we're such an agile development company, we release about 1,000 releases a year. Okay.
Do you implement CI, continuous integration, or no?
Yeah.
You do?
We do. And we mapped out into integrations into, Opera, Oracle, CRS, Sabres, point of sale. We have an enormous roadmap of revenue management integrations, and, we run an agile waterfall approach in terms of our sprints, so we're a very, very fast and agile company.
Lauren, last question here, because we're out of time before we wrap up with the famous five. Are you profitable today, cash flow positive?
No, because we are not actually chasing profit, we're chasing growth. And currently we are capitalizing for that growth around the world.
That the last round you raised, what year was that?
Well, I've just completed a round now for 15 million. Okay.
And that's included in the 26?
That is correct.
Got it. Well, okay, then by the way, that makes sense then. You obviously want to reinvest that. You shouldn't be cash flow positive right now.
No, It's not at this stage. Not as now we're in that massive growth trajectory now. And
that's great.
And as we do that, we will continue to capitalize and grow so that we can reach our goals of 100 million and hopefully a $1 billion market cap, and we can celebrate a female unicorn in hospitality, which is a very, very hard place to be.
I would love that. I think that would be wonderful. And I hope you come back on the show and celebrate in 4 years and we're toasting virtual champagnes together. All right.
I'll be there, Nathan, without a doubt. Thank you for your time.
Yeah. Hey, quick here, because it's the format of the show. Really fast, famous five. Number one, favorite business book.
Screw it. Just do it.
Screw it. Just do it. Richard Branson. Number two, is there a CEO you're following or studying right now?
Actually, Alison, yes, and there is, believe it or not, and now one of the things that it probably would have been really good if I actually knew that I was going to be asked that, okay, I probably would have told you. Alison Maslin, who's built, 6 multi-million-dollar companies. She's absolutely fantastic. I'm actually working through
What's her last company?
Her last company now, okay. Now you're going to give me, you're really getting me on the spot, aren't you?
Well, if my audience wants to look her up, what would they type into Google?
Well, I would go in there, Alison Maslin. She does this level up solutions, teaching people in SaaS companies to be able to grow to multi-million-dollar companies. And I think she does Scale or Fail is a really, really good book that I've been reading. I would definitely, particularly businesses that are moving from that, now you've built your national platform. Now you need to scale out fast. How are you going to do it? How fast? What are your growths?
She wrote that? She wrote Scale or Fail?
Yeah. Okay. And she basically puts together a CEO strategic roadmap, okay, that really, really can help people that are looking to be able to grow their businesses fast.
Number 3, what billing tool do you use?
Billing, well, we've written our own billing systems. Okay, we are payment gateways as well. So we actually are the entire engine.
So it's all custom. It's all custom.
Yeah, we've done custom builds on all of our payment processing. However, we do integrate to 25 payment gateways, and we utilize different solutions for our customers. Also, one of the other ones that we're integrating to is like Stripe as well for the global platform. Braintree, there's a couple of ones around the world.
Great. Number 4, how many hours of sleep do you get every night?
Probably luckily 4. I'm
4? Lauren, that's not healthy.
I know, I'm terrible. I'm a workaholic. And, I start early in the mornings and then I finish late, like 11, 12 at night.
I mean, I wouldn't have guessed. You have like no energy.
You wouldn't sound like I should be on drugs.
No, I'm kidding. Okay, so 4 hours. And what's your situation? Married, single, kiddos? It sounds like you have 2 kids, right?
I am married and with 2 kids. My son has just finished school and done schoolies week for the last week. Okay, in Australia, typical crazy week of partying. And I've got a son of 13.
That's great. Okay, they're 2. And then do you mind me asking how old you are?
I am 47.
47 years young. Last question. What do you wish your 20-year-old self knew?
I think one of the things that for myself is I would actually say celebrate myself for the last 30 years of business because I have given everything all the time in everything I've ever done, and I've never given up. And I have to actually pat myself on the back because I have indomitable spirit and fearlessness like no other.
Guys, celebrate yourself more. From Lauren, founded this company after fleeing Africa after witnessing her father's brutal murder. This was in 2009, really started over in Australia with sights now on building the first kind of female-run unicorn in the hospitality industry. She's well on her way with doing between 10 and 20 million bucks right now in ARR, scaling 100 to 150% year over year, just raised an additional 15 million to help fuel that growth. 26 million raised to date. About 65 people on the team total today. All of them are remote. About 4% revenue churn annually. So economics are holding, serving 25,000 event locations, whether it's restaurants, hotels, things of that nature, helping them book their space and doing many, many other things as well. Lauren, thank you for taking us to the top.
That was such a good summary. You better share that with me so that I could share that with my team. All right.
Sold. We're done.
You're on.
Thanks, Lauren.
Thanks, Nathan.